but across the world. I welcome Rajya Sabha member, former Union Minister of Law, Commerce and Justice, Dr. Subramanian Swamy. Dr. Swamy, namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Dr. Swamy, I cannot but see with concern some of the happenings that have been happening on the 15th of August, the Independence Day. Now, what happens is there are several temples in Tamil Nadu which follow Agama Shastras, and the priests in these temples who happen to be Brahmins, they were called over the phone and said, "You are fired. You no longer work at the temple." And the following day, with full attendance of Sun TV video cameras, this happened in one or two temples, a new priest is allowed to come and take control. All this under the direction of the HRNC of the Tamil Nadu government. So here I see several problems here. First of all, Supreme Court has already ruled that those temples that follow Agama Shastras, you cannot change anything arbitrarily, and they have done just that. Now, there is a lot of history behind how DMK has continuously used temple as a tool to sow discord among various Hindu communities. They always played this Brahmin versus a non-Brahmin card, and anywhere they can use it, they use this with impunity. So we have seen DMK governments come and go. They have some of them dismissed thanks to you, but the problem is this underlying hatred that seems to always define their governance. Are these people pathetic, or they cannot do any governance and they have to always use this stick? So there is less than 1% of Brahmins in Tamil Nadu. What are your thoughts, and why do you think these guys keep doing this thing? Because they keep losing at the end, sir.
See, here, I've been in the last, I left Harvard around 1970, and of course I, in between, went for short durations. But I've been doing politics since 1970, after I returned. And of course, Mrs. Gandhi made it easy by getting me dismissed from the IIT professorship and ensuring that I don't get a job anywhere in India, thinking that I'll go back to America, but I stayed on. And I've seen politics over the years. And although I have very strong views on ideology, but I've made friends across the line. There is a lot of history to all that is you're witnessing. And you have to see it in that background. The DMK came to existence only in 1948, I think.
Yes.
And there were differences a little earlier between the person they call as Periyar, and otherwise known as E.B. Ramaswamy Nayakar, and who created the Dravida Ekam. Before that, there was a Justice Party. Justice Party was dominated by very highly placed, wealthy people called the Mudalayars. And they formed the Justice Party, and with the help of the British, they got the Legislative Assembly a lot of seats. The so-called Brahmins, you see, if I go by Lord Krishna's definition, there's no such thing as a born Brahmin. In fact, even the Brahmins who take it as born, they have a Dvija ceremony, which is the second birth, so to speak. But Krishna says in several chapters, principally the chapter 12, that a Brahmin is a person who, by his gunas, is a jnani and a tyagi. And he is not afraid of anybody. And then he goes on to describe what a Kshatriya is. It's really worthwhile reading that chapter. So today when people say I'm a Brahmin and then they are working as directors in the Vatashu company, I say, well, that's not the way a Brahmin is supposed to work, you see. If he's a professor, yes. If he's doing intellectual work, yes. I think this, we must now go to a higher level of classification, that is Hindu versus anti-Hindu, more than Brahmins versus Dravida forces. Because in the Dravida movement also now over the years, and thanks to MGR and so on, Jayalalitha, there are large numbers of very religious people who also go to temples regularly. Now, what has happened here, you have to understand, first of all, the British recognized that the Brahmins were leading the freedom movement and they were articulating it. And therefore, they built this narrative about a more ancient civilization called the Dravida civilization, then created this bogus division called Aryans and Dravidians, which has now been smashed by the genetic analysis, the modern research on genetics, and the use of the concept of DNA, and found that we all Indians are the same, right from one corner to another corner of India. So I think in order to now fight for Hindu and Hindutva, we must change our narrative away from Brahmins and non-Brahmins, and see that in Tamil Nadu the Hindus come together, and for instance the Tevas are not Brahmins in the traditional sense that they are agriculturalists, and they are extremely religious, and their leader Muthuramalinga Teva was a great leader. Now, before I come to what has happened now, I would like to place this thing that I would like to approach this problem not as a defender of Brahmins, but as soiling of the Hindu traditions of temples. And therefore, I begin with this idea that when the Mudalayars decided that they needed to control the Brahmins, because they were competition, they were in Congress party, these people were in a party set up by the British, Justice Party as it was called. They sought to make out that because the British were understanding that there is a Hindu renaissance growing, Aurobindo and Vivekananda and then so many others, and in the political field, even Mahatma Gandhi was a sort of a diluted version of Hindutva, but he was a strong Hindu in terms of bringing people together. So, in that period, the British created this Dravida movement and said that you are the original owners of India. These Aryans came from Europe, and they drove you to the south. And north is Aryan, and south is Dravid. Dravid is a word which Adi Shankara created. I'm giving you this background because you have to see it in the perspective of today. I'll come to today, but let me say that nobody is putting this perspective across, and I'm putting it across. I'm saying that the Dravida movement was created by the British, and that proof is that E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, whom they call as Periyar, on the 15th of August was not celebrating the independence of India, was in the governor's palace, as it used to be called today, and what we call today as Raj Bhavan, and pleading with the British Governor General that please don't leave Tamil Nadu. Let the British go away from the rest of India. We have nothing to do. And stay. So, I mean, the fact that they could even think of not celebrating 15th of August on the day of we got the freedom shows the mental attitude of the Dravidian movement. And the Dravidian movement gained strength because the Congress party, which consisted of many Brahmins, Rajagopalacharya, etc., and all these great men, large numbers of the Brahmins, they began excluding these people from the political process. And in fact, E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar was a congressman, and he was ill-treated, and therefore he formed this separate group. Now, over the years, they grew, while the Congress was also, in the elections coming to power. But a group within the Congress, which was really led by the Mudalayars, again, who after the Justice Party, they came in after freedom, after independence. And then Kamaraj was put in as a symbol. And they targeted Rajagopalacharya. Every Brahmin was targeted. And the Congress party itself became an anti-Brahmin party. Now, the DMK was the antithesis of Hinduism. They said we are not Hindus. They said we don't believe in all this. They made fun of Ramchandraji. They made out that Sita had relations with the Ravan. They did all kinds of things which hurt the people. They tried to break Ram Setu much later. And Karunanidhi said that the Swami calls this Ram Setu. Did Ram build it? Which engineering college he went to, that he could build this bridge. And then, of course, I had my revenge when he got sick and he was admitted to Ramchandra Medical Hospital. So I told him, I wrote him a letter, get well soon, but make sure that Rama had an MBBS, otherwise you're in trouble. So this kind of phobia was built. And a part of the problem also was the Brahmins, as they are called. I believe a Tyagi and a Jnani is a Brahmin. And he may be born in any part or any section of our Indian Hindu society. Vishwamitra was not born of Brahmin parents, he was born of Kshatriya parents. Vedavyasa's mother was a fisherwoman. I can give you more, and Valmiki was actually born of Dalit parents. And he became Maharishi. Kalidasa was a Vanavasi. So, I mean, the concept of Brahmin as being born was a much later phenomenon. And I think it was a wrong thing to have happened. And now we must come back to a situation where we say Jnani and Tyagi is a Brahmin. I frequently say in my speeches that Dr. Ambedkar was a Brahmin because he was a scholar and he didn't go after chasing money. Whereas I don't consider Jawaharlal Nehru as a Brahmin because his education qualifications are nowhere near what Ambedkar had. And he, my God, used that Brahmin stick very clandestinely against Ambedkar. This temple is the place where Hindus meet. And therefore that became a target. Two temples had money. And so putting your hands on that money, the idea came first to the Mudalayars in 1921 when they created this Hindu religious and charitable enterprises or whatever it's called, HRCE, endowments, charitable endowments. So that was first created in 1921. And that is what has been continued with new amendments. The last one in Tamil Nadu was 1959. And essentially what it says is that the HRCE empowers the state to temporarily acquire the financial management of a temple to rectify misappropriation that has been taken place. And when the Sabhanayakar Nataraj temple was taken over by Karunanidhi, it was his life's ambition. He kept on saying, I want to do this, couldn't do it. And finally, he did it in the 21st century, in the first decade. And I challenged it in court. It became a classic judgment. And in that judgment, setting aside the government takeover of the of the Sabanayakar Nataraj temple, this Supreme Court explained what the Constitution permits. You can take over the management of the finances of a temple temporarily if you can establish prima facie that there has been misappropriation. And that misappropriation must be rectified. And in a short period of time, which orally they said to me 5 years, I urged them to make it 3 years, but they finally said, well, not very long time, put it in the judgment. Subramanian Swamy with the state of Tamil Nadu. It's a 2014 reported judgment. You can get it in Google just by putting my name and Tamil Nadu's name and saying Sabanayakar temple, you will get the entire judgment. And the judgment is laid down in thorough terms what the Constitution permits. And all that has happened in Tamil Nadu is in violation of that. The state has no power to appoint a pujari. There's nothing, not a shred of power is there in any legislation to allow the state to appoint pujaris or archakas. So, on the first point, that if the DMK has appointed, then that is illegal, ipso facto illegal. The Sabanayakar judgment says, as I repeat again, first you prove to the satisfaction of a prima facie case that there has been misappropriation, then take it over for a short period, well, let's say 5 years, rectify it and return it back. And on that basis, I got the Sabanayakar temple returned back to the Dikshitars. It's the first case in the history of India. But its judgment can be replicated in every other temple. There are 47,000 temples in the hands of the Tamil Nadu government. Each one of them should be released because they are in violation of the law. There was no case made out. They took it over, and some of them 80 years, some of them 70 years. Tirupati, for example, in Andhra, has been there for 87 years with the government. So, whatever the DMK is doing, or any other government in India is doing, including the BJP government, in Uttarakhand. So please don't make DMK anymore the sole devil in this country. It is doing wrong things. They have been taking the land of the temples and giving to MLAs to construct their houses. There are an enormous amount of fraud. So, coming to what happened, I have no evidence so far that they dismissed pujaris and appointed their own pujaris yet. I have asked our people who want me to come into court. They said there are 3 people we have. I said, give me their names. Did they get a GO that they have been removed?
No, they have not.
Okay, then what? They went and caught their necks and pushed them out?
No, sir. They got a phone call, and then one of the pujaris.
They got a phone call. Why did they obey the phone call? Or if they're chicken and they obeyed it?
Sir. Let me explain one of the cases at least I know.
Yeah, all right.
So the pujari is a 70-plus-year-old man, and he wanted to go into the temple, and the HR&C officer in the temple forbade him from coming in. And
Why?
He said, you are dismissed. So, see, here is what happened. He's an old man. His daughter also went, and she was filming the whole thing. And so was a Sun TV crew, which was also filming, because they had used this temple to say, look, we threw out this priest, and we have got this new guy. And now what was happening was, then the Sun TV crew was coaching this priest, this new guy, to say, dude, you are supposed to say this, you are supposed to say this. And the daughter of the fired priest was trying to take a video of this.
You have seen the video yourself?
No, I have not seen the video myself, sir. But the person who has done the research stands by it. I will provide you the
Prove that.
the JVC Sriram. I sent you a video yesterday. I'm sure you probably are busy with. So this is where things stand. This is just 3 temples in Trichy district, but I'm told it has.
I have 2 things to tell you in this. By the way, all temple priests, the government had no business to do it, but they did it, and it's been being done for a long time. They are getting appointment letters in only one state in the country, and that's Tamil Nadu. And they put a 60-year-old limit to their service. Okay, so I had heard that one of them had become 69 and he was terminated. Now, today in the assembly and in private communication, the CM's office and in the assembly, the CM himself has said no one has been terminated. This 69 person who is 69, he is also going to be given in another temple. And we shall not remove any pujari to bring in a new pujari. If there's a vacancy, we'll fill it. This is on the floor of the assembly. It's a breach of privilege to tell a lie inside the assembly. And there is a substantial number of MLAs who are, and there are 3 or 4 BJP MLAs too, who should be given this material and asked to move a breach of privilege against the Chief Minister for saying this. According to me, whatever I have investigated, I have been told by our people, that is the Virat Hindustan Sangam people, including Mr. T.R. Ramesh, that as of now they don't have any proof. They have heard it. And so consequently, my view is, first of all, let us get it documented. I'm willing to take up the case. I've already announced that I'll take up the case. But once I announced it, the Chief Minister went to the Assembly and made this statement, and then the Minister in charge called the press and mentioned my name and said this is not correct information given to him. I want him to show me the name of one person who has been terminated and someone else has been appointed who doesn't deserve to be appointed also, he added that. So in this fight, let us not get derailed by inadequate information. Between you and me, I am committed to fighting for this. I have fought the Sabhanayaka judgment, which was most dear to Karunanidhi. I am fighting the Tirupati case. I want the Tirupati case to be freed. I've partially succeeded in that Padmanabha temple in Kerala. I have in many other places done this kind of thing. And it's almost child's work, so to speak, for me to go back to a court and argue, because everything I know by memory. But I will not go to court unless I have documents, because I have to file it with an affidavit and the judges catch me with it. Yeah. So today I will say, whatever has been told to me and to you, judging by what you have said, none of this is documented or has been verified. And we should therefore go back to the original issue, that we can't fight this menace. And there is a menace. There is a dilution taken place since Stalin came. His wife goes to temples regularly, and a very large number of DMK people also go. A large number of them even have thing which we don't have, you and I don't have, the Vibhuti here.
Vibhuti, yes.
Okay, so we are in a transition stage. Let's not make a false step. There are lots of people telling you lies. They telephone me. I get telephones all the time. Not at all. There are elements who argue this. The DK, for example, of Veeramani. But Veeramani, what strength does he have? He can only bring some rowdies, but if somebody gave me an example of it or filed an FIR, I would immediately have him sent to jail. There was a time when he tried very hard to not only have me sent to jail, but burnt alive by putting tires around me inside the jail. It's recorded by the Director General of Police, Vaikunt. Challenge and Response is his name, is his book, where he's devoted one chapter to Subramanian Swamy, where he says, I was being forced by Jayalalitha to send Swamy to jail. But what she didn't know was that Veeramani had worked out the thing that the LTT people in the jail would put tires around me and burn me alive. And therefore, I delayed the warrant being issued to Swamy. Meantime, he escaped to Supreme Court and got a beautiful order that I can't be arrested anywhere in Tamil Nadu. Only place I can be served arrest warrant is in my house in Madras, and on a blank piece of paper promising 100 rupees in case I don't turn up in court, 100 rupees only, I'll be let off on bail on the spot. Never in the history of the world there has been an order like this. So concerned the Supreme Court became after hearing all that had happened. So, I mean, we have been through that. And I know that the people who dress like pujaris with punal, their punal has been cut, their chutiya, Kudumi has been cut, their scooters have been stolen. But times have changed, not substantially, not enough, but we need to push this further. On this particular thing, every time something like this happens, I have to give my voice. There was this public school, Padma school or whatever it was called.
Padma Seshadri Balban.
Padma Seshadri school. I never spoke to any of them, any of the management, but I heard that there was one teacher who misbehaved with the student, and there was a campaign that this is all Brahmins, they do this kind of thing. And then I moved in, and then the Chief Minister said, no, nothing of the kind. We will not take over any school. As far as this is concerned, it is specific to that teacher, and that teacher was not even a Brahmin, and he'll be prosecuted. The matter ended. So today, after yesterday's statement of mine and the newspaper this morning of Dinamalar, yes, given a huge interview of mine, the Chief Minister went to the Assembly and made this statement. Now, I would like to go further in it. There is a problem. There are 47,000 temples in the hands of the government. They are illegally in the hands of the government. And there is a Supreme Court judgment, which is my Sabanagar judgment. I don't have enough personnel on every one of them to go and file a case in the court and say, this is what the Supreme Court said, and this is what they have done. They committed contempt of court in each one of them and get them released. But you have a second problem after that. Once it's released, who will it be given to? For example, Tirupati has been there for 87 years. If today I get it freed, I don't know who to give it to.
Sir, I have done some research on Tirupati's, who has been running the Tirupati affairs before the British took over in 1933. It was a trust called Hathiram Trust. And if we have to look at
Hathiram.
Yes.
I know Hathiram Trust, yes.
So if you have to look at a possible person to whom they can be handed over, I would say that is one of the people. But again, this is almost...
the lineage of that Hathiram of 1933, no.
That is true. I'm not... See, the thing is, you have made a break of close to 87 years.
I have been urging all the sadhu sannyasis who have an organization and the Hindu Dharma Acharya Sabha set up by Swami Dayanand Saraswati of Coimbatore. Swami Dayanand Saraswati, I'm sorry, he passed away, he went away, he attained Samadhi. He was a gem of a person. I've never seen a more well-informed person. And he was totally dedicated. He had brought all the sadhus together in something called the Hindu Dharma Acharya Sabha for the first time in the history of modern India. And I used to jokingly say that we have a Lok Sabha and a Rajya Sabha and now an Acharya Sabha. And I said Acharya Sabha should be given the status of Rajya Sabha so that all religious matters go to them. So, but he himself could not get an agreement on what happens if the court says, okay, we are freeing this temple from all government control because it's unconstitutional. There is no misappropriation that they have. There is no report, and it's been years and years. We are giving, but give it to whom? Athiram. Athiram is recently created, and Tirupati with crores and crores to be given to Athiram. People will not accept it. So we need the Hindu Dharma Acharya Sabha to accept. Let the government give it to us, and we will parcel it out to the right people. Those are the areas we have to work today. Yes, if a temple is taken over, then you have got a good case right away to do something about it. If you can prove what you are saying to me, which I have told all my colleagues who have been urging me to take up this case, and I have announced that I will take it up if I find evidence of this. It's already had gone before a single judge. Now the Chief Justice got enraged, and or I don't know whether he got enraged, but he certainly acted that way, and has taken that case away from that single judge and said, I will hear it with my brother judge. And so it is before him. And if you are not able to prove that in fact that these things have happened, we'll get a huge setback in our campaign.
So the ball is in our court. I get that, and I was not aware of all the development that happened in the government chamber in Assembly building in Tamil Nadu. This is all news to me.
It happened today only.
Today. Right. So the orders that came out went out by phone was on the 15th, on the Independence Day. It is my responsibility, having invited you for this. It is my responsibility to give you the data, and I take up that responsibility.
A piece of paper.
Yes. We will get that. No.
If a pujari walked out on a telephone, then the pujari is not worth being a pujari.
Sir, I think we need to get the actual data. I mean, I agree with you.
You get it to me. I asked our own people who are working on it for donkey's years. They don't got it. Yeah, okay, we'll collect it and give it to you. 3 people have been dismissed. I said, give me the names. Give me the place, the temple. They don't have it.
No, the place and the names, I think I sent you an email.
But it's okay. I don't know about that. I need a piece of paper.
I agree. I completely agree with you. I will get that part. Let's move past this part. And I think we took up one issue, and I think we've kind of looked at it in a broader macro perspective, where you've said what it is that is wrong with the Hindu community as a whole. And what you brought up, the fact that if the courts decide that the temple's control shall be taken out of government, they need to have a body that has the gravitas to deal with it. Now, this is a shout out, I guess, to all the different mutts, the mutt heads, mathadipatis, so that we need to have a united front to take care of this. Unless every one of us, regardless of which mutt we are, whether we are a Vaishnavite or a Shaivite, or whether we are followers of Dvaitam, Vishishta Dvaitam, or Advaitam, it does not matter. We are all Sanatanis. In fact, I would be so bold to go and add Jains as well as Buddhists who are. Everybody is, because our constitution says anyone who's not a, you get the point, right? So we need to. This is a call that these are all things where we ourselves are weakened by our own inherent inconsistencies and feeling that somehow we are different and therefore special. I think everybody is at the end of the day a Sanatani. Sir, to take away from this, I have something to do, and I will do that thing, and I will keep our viewers informed on what is happening, because it is important that when you go and fight something, you fight with data. Data does not lie. That is exactly what you're saying. I get it, because that's how what I've been doing day in and day out. Now, the attitude of the DMK government to keep on trying these things. I kind of, I'm surprised, sir. If you are trying to do the same thing again and again and hoping for a different result, if you look up the dictionary, that is the definition of the word insanity. And yet we see this government doing the same thing. Whether it is Ram Setu, Mr. T.R. Balu, the same person has again written back to the Prime Minister saying that it should be allowed. So,
but why didn't the Prime Minister declare Ram Setu as a National Heritage Monument? Then after that, nobody can write a letter like that.
Absolutely, and I'm again
this is a Hindu problem.
Absolutely. I don't hold a brief for the Prime Minister, sir. I am telling that this is a problem here. This is a problem. You have to also back us. See, the problem is we seem to have this thing. Anytime somebody becomes the Prime Minister, he seems to wear a cloak of secularism. And that is a bad cloak. That quote is wrong. The definition of that is wrong because Hinduism by definition is secular.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
So this I don't know how this booth comes and sits on these people's heads, and somehow the very community that got them into the position of power is the one that is ignored, because the first time the Ram Setu was approved under Vajpayee government.
Yeah, of course. The project was first initiated by Jetli and signed by Vajpayee and Advani.
So to say that we are
Uttarakhand, 52 temples taken over by the government of Mr. Narendra Modi.
So maybe we can update
the Uttarakhand government.
Sir, maybe you can update us with what is happening in Uttarakhand. There was a change of chief minister. The new chief minister said that he is withdrawing that order. Yes or no?
He didn't do it. I have got a court case which I first filed in the Uttarakhand High Court. And the Uttarakhand High Court gave me an order that the treasury, which was supposed to be shifted to, the bill had created, the act had created a committee headed by the chief minister and a whole lot of political authorities, MP and minister of this and minister of that and so on. And in the clause they said that the treasury of each of these temples, Badrinath and Kedarnath have lots and lots of money, will be transferred to the account which will be managed, or at least the signatory of that account would be the chief minister, whoever is the chief minister. Tomorrow the Congress comes, he would be the guy who would write the letter for using that money. So I got that cancelled, and it is back with the pujaris. So main reason for taking it over, in my opinion, unstated reason, that's, they have been defeated in that. Now I've gone to the Supreme Court saying strike it down because this is what the judgment said in the Sabanaikar matter, you will have to do it here too. And because of Corona, it is not getting listed. And I also think that our Solicitor General is playing tricks to see that doesn't get listed. Nowadays a lot of these things are happening. The registry is being poked by various people to see that my cases are not are not listed. So anyway, I'm not in a hurry because this is going to be a very expensive thing for them in the Uttarakhand elections. So already the pujaris are on continuous agitation in that area. I am only saying this, we have to change this psychology. You are not touching the churches, you are not touching the mosques, but only the temples. There is only one act, and that is for the temples. There is nothing which says in the law, in Article 25 and 26, which says that that it should be only for Hindus. So it's a situation where the Hindus are being singled out by government after government. And so the Malays, it's no use blaming the DMK. DMK came to power on this. And for them, they are getting help from both sides. They're getting help from P, they're getting help from the Dravida Ekam, saying that he has sold out this thing, why he can't stop his wife from going to the temples, all this, you see. So they are trying to do a balancing act. The described events, I have no proof of it. That a phone call came and the guy had to go, 3 people were removed, this happened, that happened. I have absolutely no evidence given to me because they have asked me to file a case. I said, give me this evidence, I have to put it to the court. They have not been able to give it to me so far. And if you can, you also very assertively said this happened, please give me evidence.
Absolutely. That is, the onus is on me. Let's. I think that we've started somewhere, but I think we are going to a place where we need this message, which is that we have to understand that all of us are in this together. Everybody is equal in the eyes of God, and everybody is equal in the eyes of each other. Don't think I am a so and so, and therefore I am better than
But
you.
don't say Brahmin priests.
No, this
According to-
particular case happened.
According to Krishna, there is no such thing as a born Brahmin. It's there in the Gita. I can give you shloka after shloka.
Sir,
He has got it.
Sir,
Then-
the priests in Tamil Nadu.
If you are a pujari, you are a Brahmin. If you are a jnani and a tyagi, you are a Brahmin. It doesn't matter where you are born.
According
Vishwamitra
to-
was born in a Kshatriya family, he became Maharishi, Rishi of Rishis.
Sir, according to your definition just now, every person who performs temple puja
Yes, he's a
in the
Brahmin.
temple is a Brahmin. Yes, I
Yeah.
completely agree with you because
Okay.
they get paid a pittance. They get paid
Yes.
a pittance. The HRNC officer gets 15,000 rupees a month. These people get 500 rupees a month. And even
Agreed.
on the dakshina on the plate that they are supposed to declare, and the temple, the state tries to take that also.
Agreed. So fight
Right.
for that. I'm with you.
Well,
But don't say Brahmin.
No. The particular case, again, like I said, we have to get the data. I will do that. I mean, I'm completely signing up for that part. Let's move
Yeah.
past that part, sir. I want to end this thing.
It's a promise I'll remind you of.
Oh, absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
For me, it
We-
is crucial in the fight
Yes, yes.
that I'm doing. I've been
Absolutely.
fighting. It's not that I'm one of those non-believers. I've been devoting so much time to all this, and for all over the country, traveling for that purpose. Tirupati, how many times I've gone to Tirupati? And therefore, I would say that please know that one defeat for us is a very, very costly affair. It's a big setback. So we've got to win every case we take. And for that, I need documentation.
And we will. Thank you very much, Dr. Swamy, for sharing valuable time from your rather busy schedule. This talk has actually gone to 43 minutes and very fascinating. And I think we understand where our fault lines are, and
Yeah,
it's
that's right.
up to us. It's not one individual who will come, and it is not Dr. Swamy's job to try and tell, okay, every Matadhikari, you will all to have to form. No, they have to do it on their own. This needs
Yeah.
to be from within. You get up in the morning and say, I have to move more towards unifying all the Sanatanis. How do I do that? That needs to be the takeaway. Thank you very much, Dr. Swamy, and thanks, namaskar. And we'll be back again with more such information and interesting conversations. Namaskar.